Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to talk about we're going to review the second topic in our syllabus of O-level chemistry. This topic is going to be on different experimental techniques. So as I was saying earlier, that this topic is going to be about different experimental techniques, and this is going to be the focus of our topic now. Here, what you're supposed to do is that you should be able to name appropriate apparatus for the measurement of different things such as time, temperature, mass, volume. Few apparatus names you should be able to know, such as burettes, pipette, measuring cylinders, gas syringe, time, stopwatch, laboratory thermometer. And apart from that, you should also be able to suggest suitable apparatus based on different relevant information given to you for a variety of simple experiments, such as let's say collection of gases and measurements of rate of reaction. So here, first of all, we will be discussing different apparatus in order to measure volume. So here, first of all, we have this thing which is called a beaker, right? So what happens is that beaker is basically used to measure volumes of liquids approximately according to the graduated marks on the apparatus. Like there are main marks of different readings shown here. So if you have to measure a volume of any liquid in an approximate way, based on the graduation marks, a beaker can always be used. So this is what you call a beaker. Now after your beaker, there is another apparatus which is known as the pipette, and it looks like this. Well, something like this. So in a pipette, what you do is that this is actually used to accurately measure volumes of liquids when a fixed volume of solution is needed for an experiment. When you fill the pipette by, for example, let's say here's a beaker, you have some solution, you want to measure exact 25 cubic centimeter of a solution. So what you do is that when you insert the pipette inside, and then what you do is that you use as I was saying earlier, that you can use this pipette to accurately measure volume of liquid when a fixed volume of solution is needed for an experiment. So what actually happens is that you insert the pipette inside that container or beaker, which actually has that liquid which you want to measure, and then you use a pump here to actually suck the liquid upside. And when you see that here you can see that there is a mark given on the pipette, and when the liquid gets filled up to this mark, then you have the exact amount of liquid which is required. Now after the pipette, you have another thing which is called the burette. It looks something like this. Now a burette is actually used to accurately measure any volume of liquid to the nearest 0.1 cubic centimeter, which is used up in an experiment. Like for example, you want to measure an amount of liquid with the volume say 25.4 cubic centimeter. What you would do is that you again will fill the burette from the upside, and these markings would actually be able to measure to the nearest 0.1 decimal place. Okay, then you have another apparatus which is called the measuring cylinder. Now the measuring cylinder looks like something, it looks like this. The measuring cylinder is used to measure different volumes of liquid with some level of accuracy. It cannot measure to the nearest 0.1, but it can measure to the according to the markings given on the cylinder. Then another apparatus you need to know is a syringe. Now there are two types of syringes used here. One is the gas syringe, one is the liquid syringe, right? Now if first of all a syringe looks like this, so when you pull this plunger in this direction, liquid gets filled in, and you can measure from these readings what is the measurement of the liquid. Okay, now in the same way a gas syringe can also be used to measure volumes of gases produced in experiments according to the graduation marks given on the apparatus. Now this pretty much sums up the main equipment you need to be able to appropriately name in your course. Now the second thing you need to know is different methods in order to collect gases. How to collect different gases. Now remember, a gas can either be collected in an upward delivery, like if a gas is coming from this direction, it can either be collected in an upward delivery, or it can either be collected in a downward delivery tube. Now here, this method can only be used when a gas is less denser than air. On the other hand, this method can be used when the gas is more denser than air. Another method that can also be used here is by the displacement of water. Let's say here you have a container. Here you have a delivery tube. gas jar. And here the water is filled. Now this type of method can only be used to collect gases which are not very soluble in water, because this is water, and when you pass the gas from here, it should not be able to react with water, should not be able to dissolve in water, so that it can easily be collected here. Right? Examples of such gases can be, let's say, carbon dioxide, CO2 gas. Another example would be hydrogen chloride gas, or you can also say chlorine gas. Now the method used to collect gases which are more denser than air, like for example there is a gas which is far more denser, has density greater than that of air. What you can do is that you can collect this gas with the help of a downward delivery tube in a gas jar, because when the gas would enter from this side, it would collect here and it would stay here in this region, right? Because it is more denser than air, air won't be able to push it outside of the gas jar, because here air is outside and the gas would be inside. On the other hand, if you have to collect a gas which is less denser than air, if there is a gas which has a density which is less than that of air, you can collect it by an upward delivery tube. Here the gas would come inside, so it would collect in this region, because as the gas is less dense than air, it would travel upside, so it would easily stay here and won't come out in this direction. Now in this part there is another thing you need to know, that is about when gases are being produced, they need to be obtained dry. The moisture content has to be removed using appropriate drying agents. Now there are three different drying agents. First of all, there is calcium chloride, fused calcium chloride. Then you have concentrated sulfuric acid, and then you have quicklime. Now calcium chloride, which has been heated, this can be used to dry gases, and primarily the gases that don't react with calcium chloride. Okay. Secondly, concentrated sulfuric acid is a common drying agent, but it cannot be used to dry gases which are basic, because they would react, acid bases react. Now thirdly, you have quicklime, and this is a drying agent used to dry basic gases such as, for example, ammonia,